A very good evening to you. We are broadcasting live from our studios here at Platinum Place. This is News Tonight with me, Natalie Fort. Coming up this evening, Special Prosecutor berates NDC flag bearer GHOne Dramani Mahama over close relationship with Alfred Mahama in the Airbus scandal, despite clearing him of any wrongdoing.
This Airbus intermediary role, at the time his brother served as the Vice President of Ghana, was a case of luckless coincidence that attracted the disapproval of the UK and US authorities.
Tonight, Attorney General files appeal challenging the acquittal of Minority Leader Dr. Kasiel Ato-Forson and Richard Jakpa. Also coming up, majority fights Speaker over decision not to recall Parliament at their behest, but Parliamentary Monitoring Group says the controversy is as a result of power play.
The Speaker has not been fair to the majority side. And the majority side, we actually put up our senators to let the Speaker call the House on the 7 sitting working days.
Also coming up this evening, the Ghana Police Service burned several bags of narcotic substances in Accra following orders from a court.
We are here to destroy some substances, cocaine, dry leaves, that's cannabis. After those cases have been dealt with by the court.
Also ahead in business, Vice President and flag bearer of the governing MPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, pledges to reduce withholding tax on gold exports from 1.5% to 1%.
A few years ago, government reduced the gold export levy, withholding tax, from 3% to 1.5%. The result of this is that after a sharp decline in gold exports in 2021, the gold export volumes have been steadily recovering.
Those are the stories here on News Tonight. We get started with Insight. Get started with insights this evening, and our focus is on the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the OSP, which has named former President GHOne Dramani Mahama as the individual referenced as government official one in the Airbus bribery scandal. However, there's nothing to show that he was paid any bribes. Now, this conclusion, according to the Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejabing, follows an extensive investigation spanning 4 years by his office. Addressing the media in Accra, Kisi Ejabing explained that the investigation into the scandal and the revelation of the identities of the persons involved were necessary due to the public interest in the issue.
The OSP confirms the identity of the following individuals. Government Official 1, Individual 1. The individual described as Government Official 1 by the UK court and Individual 1 by the US court is GHOne Dramani Mahama. He is a citizen of Ghana. He was the Vice President of Ghana from 7 January 2009 to 24 July 2012. He was the President of Ghana from 24 July 2012 to 7 January 2017. His tenure of office as the Vice President of Ghana coincided with the time frame of the UK and US investigation of the first Airbus campaign for the sale of 2 C-295 aircraft to Ghana. His term of office as a president of Ghana occurred during the UK and US investigation time frame of the second Airbus campaign for the sale of 1 C-29 aircraft to Ghana. Intermediary 5, Consultant 4. The individual described as Intermediary 5 by the UK court and Consultant 4 by the US court is known both as Samuel Adam Mahama and Samuel Adam Foster. He is a UK citizen and also a citizen of Ghana. He is a younger brother of the full blood of John Dramani Mahama, former president of Ghana, referred to above. His birth name is actually Samuel Adam Mahama, but he was adopted from Ghana and taken to the UK in 1972 by a British missionary couple. He assumed the last name of his adopted parents, Foster, at age 9. He lost touch with his Ghanaian family until 1997.
Well, the special prosecutor, however, berated the former president for not realizing that his closeness with Alfred Adam Mahama would raise eyebrows.
The OSP found no evidence that suggests that the involvement of Foster as an intermediary of Airbus and the direct communications and meetings between former President Mahama and officials of Airbus to close the deal between Airbus and the government of Ghana amounted to any corruption and corruption-related offense in respect of which the OSP has a mandate. However, it ought reasonably to have occurred to former President Mahama and the government of Ghana that the familiar relationship between former President Mahama and Foster and the direct participation by former President Mahama in the communications and meetings with Airbus officials were bound to raise reasonable suspicions of improper conduct and dealings, notwithstanding any claims to good faith conduct and above-board dealings, especially in light of the fact that during the first Airbus campaign, former President Mahama was a chairman of the Armed Forces Council by reason of his position as a vice president and therefore a very key decision maker. Such close proximity dealings by such elected high officials of the Republic and their kin and close associates on behalf of the Republic should neither be viewed favorably nor encouraged, as they give rise to reasonable suspicion of influence peddling and conflict of interest, never mind any intended good faith on the part of the vice president or the president. Then again, the direct participation of the president and the vice president on behalf of the Republic in commercial communications and meetings with commercial entities should not be encouraged either, as they expose these elected high officials to the specter of the slightest hint of perceived corruption that may attend international business transactions. The president and the vice president should be insulated from such direct commercial dealings.
Well, let's stay on this. Let's speak to a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Bande, on what the party makes of this development. Good evening to you and thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, what's your reaction to this as a party? We had, of course, far back in the year 2020, calls daring the government, in fact, to release evidence on Mahama being a part of this scandal. Fast forward to 2024, the OSP has cleared him for any wrongdoing. How is the team receiving these findings from the Office of the Special Prosecutor?
Thank you very much. You have referenced a bit of it, but I'll also add the recent approval of the Ghana Police Service for persons to demonstrate at the private office of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama on this same matter. It was approved by Dr. Gariba of the Ghana Police Service at the Greater Accra region. Today is a jubilation for the NDC. Today is a vindication for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. An announcement of the fact that really His Excellency John Dramani Mahama can fight corruption because he himself is not corrupt. Contrary to the other side, we also know that President Akufo-Addo, who have incentivized, lubricated, fueled this propaganda against the image of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he himself cannot raise his head high from corruption. Because recently the Auditor General report captures his children as a syndicate that have taken money from the people of Ghana without work done. Just yesterday, His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's direct brother, was cited to have taken 200 million Ghana cedi contract out of sole sourcing without proper due diligence. So today, Ghanaians can compare notes. Who is fortified to fight corruption? Person who is corrupt cannot himself fight corruption. Today, it is clear that His Excellency John Dramani have told Ghanaians that I have led you, I have been your president, I have not stolen your money. What is being said against me is propaganda. It also shows how President Akufo-Addo exploited this propaganda, fueled it against the image of John Dramani Mahama to be president. Their intention was to use it again in 2024. Today, it has fallen flat. So therefore, let President Akufo-Addo be ready that the day he hands over as president, Ghanaians will hold him responsible and investigate himself and his children for monies that they have taken belonging to the state. The Ajapadia scandal will be investigated, and anyone in connection with that will be dealt with by the state. That was a state capture. That is the biggest scandal any government have perpetrated against the people of Ghana. And today, all of that will play very clean.
Right. So, Mustafa, you say that former President Mahama has been vindicated, and you specifically said that this is an indicator that he can fight corruption. We've got less than 5 months to the 2024 general elections. How does this play out with your campaign as a party? Does it help?
Well, we are going to 2024 general election. It's a communal responsibility to punish people who are politically fraudulent, who are financially fraudulent, who are a syndicate that impose hardship on the people of this country. 2024 will be against President Akufo-Addo, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, syndicating to stage a comeback so that they can finish up their state capture. But Ghanaians should be encouraged to vote out these people, take them to opposition, and keep them in a position where the state can investigate them and retrieve all the money they have stolen. They have stolen and done a disservice to this nation that they should not be forgiven. They should be held accountable. And it is only 2024 that can make that possible. When John Mahama becomes president, Ghanaians, what they are crying for will be done today. If you are going to buy a fuel, they will not ask you whether you are from Chebi or you are from MPP headquarters. You have to buy fuel at the high cost as a Ghanaian. Today, if you are going to buy Milo and milk for your children, they wouldn't ask which party you belong to. You would have to bear the high cost of living as a Ghanaian. If they have any plan, let them save the people of Ghana from this hardship. Let them save all of us. Children are dying. But anything less that, we must come together as Ghanaians and vote out these people. They don't have any plan for the people of Ghana. They have caused too much pain. They have deprived Ghanaians of their benefit. They have punished Ghanaians so much.
Your point has been clearly made. Now, in rounding up, aside this being a victory, you say, for Mahama and the NDC, the special prosecutor still raised concerns. In fact, criticized the former president, saying that he should have known that his close relations with Alfred Mahama would have raised eyebrows. How do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, those are moral issues, but if we are talking about moral decadence, it is President Akufo-Addo who appointed his direct brother as a finance minister. That finance minister's company was engaged in taking contracts in the Minister of Finance, where the finance minister is the minister. That is moral decadence. That is more dangerous. Yesterday, I did told you, the vice president's direct brother has taken 200 million Ghana cedi contract. This one, the deal was done in UK. President Mahama didn't know about it. His brother was involved, but he didn't benefit anything as president, which is clarified today. But as we speak today, President Akufo-Addo's children, his direct children, have taken monies to the state without work done. That is more dangerous, and that is the fraud that we should be talking about. Not about the moralities. We should be talking about something that really affects the lives of the people of Ghana. 200 million Ghana city contract is enough deprivation. Okay? $107 million is enough money to the children of President Akufo-Addo for Ghanaians to be fighting to retrieve, other than letting them go off the hook.
We'd have to draw the curtains here. Thank you for joining us this evening. That was Mustafa Gbande with the NDC, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Certainly more on this developing story in subsequent bulletins. You're watching News Tonight. That wraps up Insight. Watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. Some more news this evening. Parliamentary Monitoring Group, or GHOne, has described Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin's rejection of a request by Majority Caucus for recall of Parliament within 7 days under Article 112, citing logistical constraints as power play. Now, 15 members of the Majority Caucus have petitioned the Speaker to recall the House over outstanding parliamentary business. They are seeking to handle pending parliamentary business, including approval of bill and nominees. But the Speaker says the request cannot be granted because of logistical constraints. He has, however, summoned the House to return on September 3. However, Deputy Majority Chief Whip Alex Tete Jonogbua disagrees with the Speaker's decision. According to the Seshri Akontumbra MP, there are other venues available for MPs to reconvene. He insists that the business at hand is urgent, contrary to the Speaker's posture.
We actually have a word or have a talk with the Speaker to actually let us go on recess around Friday before the Tuesday that he actually adjourned the House. And he said he's traveling. And even though the two deputy speakers are not around to actually preside over the House, per our new standing order, a senior member can be nominated to preside over the House if Speaker is not around and the deputies are not around. But Speaker actually refuses to accept that request too. And that is why we have put up the constitutional requirement that we need to recall the House to finish this business that I have mentioned to you. The Environmental Protection Bill, the Ghana Boundary Commission Bill, we all know what is actually happening in the various borders of our neighboring countries. And that is why we need to actually pass this particular bill for Ghana to actually know its boundaries and the other countries that we share with. So I think Speaker is not being fair to the majority side. And the majority side, we actually put up our signatures to let the Speaker call the House on the 7 sitting working days. But yesterday, to my surprise, we saw a letter on our platform that the Speaker is rather calling for the House on the 10th of September, which I think is unfair, simply because Speaker, even though he is the CEO of the House, but per the Constitution requirement, Speaker has to adhere to the requirement of the Constitution.
Well, let's now speak to the principal lead at GHOne, Nehemiah Atiga. Good evening to you, sir. I believe you're hearing me. Thank you for joining us this evening. Now, you heard the MP for Seshri Akontumbra speaking there. He says that the Speaker is not being fair to the majority side of the House. What's your reading to this impasse between the Speaker and Majority Caucus?
Thank you for having me. Well, we can understand why the majority may be feeling aggrieved because Order 53 of the Standing Orders of the House and Article 112 of the 1992 Constitution gives them the right to ensure that once you have 15% of their total members requesting a meeting of Parliament, the Speaker shall within 7 days ensure that he summons for them to reconvene. Unfortunately, the Speaker is either misinterpreting or interpreting that the standing order and the article with his own understanding, and also deciding that for their own safety as members of Parliament, because there are some works going on in the House, they should stay away until that is completed. However, the majority also believe that the work that has to be done is critical, and so they have to be back in Parliament. And so you can understand the majority side wanting to exercise the right they have to ensure that the work continues, but you can also see that the Speaker is trying to probably do some power play at this point. So you feel, simply put, that you agree with the majority's suggestion or comment that it's some form of power play, right? Yes, because, think about it. If there was an emergency right now, you probably find a place for Parliament to convene and continue doing their work. So if there's an opportunity to look at alternatives to continue working, then why not? Because we are in an election year, and so you don't have too much time. You don't have the luxury of time to spare. And if those 9 bills that they want to review and the number of tax exemptions and all the other issues that they want to tackle that's important, then I think that he should at least give them the opportunity, because they are just following the constitution and the standing orders of the House.
So Nehemiah, briefly in rounding up, is that to say that you feel that the Speaker's reason is somewhat not reasonable enough, and the fact that he stated that of course that there are some constraints within the House, and citing logistical constraints specifically, where the MP says there are other venues that they can convene at? Do you feel like it's not quite a justifiable excuse?
Because he can decide to get them to convene in another location, that may not be a good excuse. But at the same time, like I said, he may also be taking this decision on their own behalf, because you're looking at the safety side of things. But if you're looking at their safety, then maybe going to another location to continue work may be an option, which is what I think the majority is looking at in terms of an alternative for them to continue working, rather than saying that because there's renovation going on. So if the renovation continues to maybe even beyond the September 3rd and goes into October or November, are you saying that Parliament will never reconvene again until then? So I think that seems like an excuse than anything else.
What would you suggest be done, finally?
Well, I think that members of Parliament know how these things work. They just need to meet up and as leadership agree on something and speak with the Speaker, because so the majority side and minority side should have some consensus building and then engage the Speaker and get this thing done. Else, since the minority are almost acting indifferent on this thing, they need to get them on their side, and then I'm sure when they get them on their side, the Speaker probably would then listen to them or give them an ear.
Nehemiah, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Nehemiah Atiga, Principal Lead at ODECRO, which is the Parliamentary Monitoring Group. In some other top stories this evening on News Tonight, the Office of the Attorney General has filed an appeal at the Supreme Court to reverse the judgment of the Court of Appeal that acquitted and discharged Minority Leader Dr. Kaysel Atto-Forson and Richard Jakpa in the ambulance procurement case. The action filed on Thursday, August 8, 2024, stated, among other things, that the majority decision erred in applying the rule on the standard of proof necessary to determine whether the accused should be called to answer the charges against them. The appeal, signed by the Director of Public Prosecution, GHOne Atakra Obuobisa, on behalf of the Attorney General, said the majority's finding that the letters of credit did not constitute a payment under the contract contradicts the evidence presented and is untenable. Atto-Forson and Richard Jakpa were on July 30 acquitted and discharged in a 2-1 majority decision. But the Attorney General, dissatisfied, has filed an appeal. And that's the document that you see on your screen there. In other news, a truck full of marijuana and cocaine have been burnt at the Ghana Police Service following an order from a court. The exercise, carried out on Thursday, August 8, was supervised by the Registrar of the Circuit Court, Mr. Prosper Kingsley Damanka. These substances were seized by the courts between 2020 and 2024, with persons found guilty sentenced, while those not found culpable freed. EIB Network's Legal Affairs correspondent Murtala Inusa is at the scene, and he joins us with more.
Per the orders of the court, differently constituted, over 200 packs of over 200 sacks of marijuana are being burnt here based on the orders of the court, differently constituted. And as you can see, fire has been set into these substances. In fact, there are few of them being cocaine, but majority of these substances happen to be marijuana. And clearly here, as you can see, this is the action that you can see live here behind me. What is happening clearly symbolizes the orders of the court, and it's being taken in accordance with statute. You have the registrars of the court, you have police officers here, EPO officials have all gathered here to supervise this very action. So clearly that is what is happening right now just behind the Independence Square at the beach, just around the Osu Castle. And what is clear is that these substances, the persons who were arrested and arraigned in relation to these substances, some of them have been convicted and sentenced. Some of them, the police also could not prove the charge or the offenses as charged, and some of them have been freed. But what is clear is that the court seized those substances because they were illegally procured. And my understanding is that if you look at the efficacy, the neutrality or the strength of it is higher than what is required. Somebody will ask that why is it not given to persons who have been given license to operate or to trade in marijuana activities. But the point is that we are being told that if you look at the strength of it, it is higher than what is required. All these cumulated into the court order for these substances said to be marijuana to be destroyed. And clearly the evidence is showing that today the exercise has been carried on, being supervised by court officials. I've seen the registrar here at the beach. I've also seen officers from the police, CID personnel have all gathered here, and in fact persons from the EPA made an appearance here to supervise this very exercise. So clearly that particular orders from the court, the circuit court in fact, have been carried out. And let me give you some perspective in relation to what has been happening here. These are substances that have been retrieved from suspects, from accused persons who have been sentenced. Some have been convicted and sentenced between 2020 and 2024. So within a 4-year period, this is the outcome of what has been gathered so far that has been subjected to a court order, and the order is that all these substances should be destroyed. And so that is the evidence of the action being taken to destroy these substances. Over 240 sacks of marijuana, 240 sacks of marijuana have been subjected or are being destroyed here, including various wraps, including some cocaine of a sort, and some liquid substances have all been subjected to this destruction. So that is currently what is happening here at the shores of the Independence Square. Just behind the Independence Square, that is where we have this very activity taking place, and all personnel, all officials who are supposed to supervise this very exercise are currently here, ensuring that the right thing is done, the court order is complied with, and nothing but only what the court has ordered for is done. The registrar of the Circuit Court Accra, who is supervising this very exercise, Mr. Prosper Kingsley Damanka, has been giving us some perspectives about this whole exercise.
We are here to destroy some substances, cocaine, dry leaves, that's cannabis. After those cases have been dealt with by the court, judgment has been delivered, orders were made for their destruction. That is why we are here.
The substances being destroyed today, somebody will say that, can we give it to company or institution that have been given license to trade in cannabis to use them?
As for that one, I don't have that power to say anything concerning that. The people were arrested by the police and then charged and brought to court, and judgment has been delivered in the cases. That is why we are here for their destruction.
So with the efficacy of what is being destroyed here, the chances are that you can easily go high if you get in contact with these flames. You want to go high, then you know what to do. If you do not want to go high, you know what to do. From the Independence Avenue here in Accra, Natalie, GHOne.
Well, our legal affairs correspondent Murtala Inusa joining us there, where marijuana and cocaine have been burnt by the Ghana Police Service following a court order. You're watching News Tonight here on GH1 TV. We've got more news shortly. Do stay. Back to News Tonight. Now, drivers who ply border towns in the country have been cautioned to pay critical attention to human traffickers to help the illegal activity that continues to inflict severe damage across the nation. Now, speaking during a sensitization exercise, head of anti-human smuggling and trafficking in persons unit at the Ghana Immigration Service, Superintendent Alberta Na Aku Ankra, disclosed that although strides have been made to reduce the figures, trafficking for prostitution continues to rise in the country.
According to recent figures from the Ghana Immigration Service, 49.6 million people are trapped in human trafficking, with an estimated 12 million children trafficked globally. Human trafficking remains a critical issue in Ghana, with many victims suffering in silence due to fear and poverty. The operation often involves forced labor and sexual exploitation. To help fight the menace, the Migration Management Department and the Anti-Human Smuggling and Trafficking in-person units of the Ghana Immigration Service, in collaboration with Our Rescue, an NGO, organized a sensitization program to enable officers interact with driver unions on the dangers of irregular migration, some of which often leads to various forms of exploitation.
We want to talk to all drivers who transnational cross transportation business. So like those who fly Accra, Aflao, Nigeria, or Lagos, those who fly Accra to Abidjan. Because sometimes you find people bringing in young ones, they traffic them, they recruit them in their countries, and then try to bring them in or transit them through Ghana across to any other country. So what happens is that they recruit them in their countries and then try to bring them in or transit them through Ghana across to any other country, and they turn them into prostitute girls.
Although some achievements have been recorded in the fight against human trafficking, the country manager for Our Rescue, an NGO, says Ghana continues to record cases of human trafficking, hence the need to prosecute persons found culpable.
So just for this year in Ghana, I know in collaboration with Ghana Immigration Service and Ghana Police Service, we've been able to provide assistance to about 24 survivors of child sex, child sex trafficking. And just about a month ago, we worked with the Ghana Police Service and Intema to be able to prosecute a trafficker who are trafficked 2 minors and secure the conviction through the police of 5 years imprisonment of the trafficker.
The exercise also educated parents to protect their children, especially the girl child, as they easily become victims of human trafficking and end up being forced into prostitution and other forms of sexual exploitation, thus inhibiting their growth and development.
You're watching News Tonight. We've got business news next, and the business segment is brought to you by Bills Microcredit. Vice President and NPP flag bearer Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has promised to peg the value of the cedi to gold if elected as president. According to Vice President, the $5 billion worth of gold bought under the Gold for Oil policy has helped in stabilizing the country's economy.
Speaking at the commissioning of the Royal Ghana Gold Refinery, Dr. Bawumia further promised to reduce withholding tax for gold export from 1.5% to 1% if elected come December 7. According to him, the state-of-the-art gold refinery will help add value to the country's gold currently being exported in the raw form.
A few years ago, government reduced the gold export levy, this withholding tax, from 3% to 1.5%. The result of this is that after a sharp decline in gold exports in 2021, the gold export volumes have been steadily recovering, with 2024 showing promising signs. If you look at what the governor told us, the Bank of Ghana, through the gold purchase program, has bought thus far $5 billion worth of gold just in the last few years. $5 billion.
Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, on his part, revealed that such a refinery will help revamp the local jewelry industry. The Damango MP further revealed another $450 million manganese refinery will be constructed at Nsuta in the western region, all aimed at ensuring value addition to mineral resources.
Very soon, construction will commence on a $450 million United States dollars manganese refinery at Nsuta in the western region. And our green mineral policy contains mandatory provisions for value addition, which are being incorporated in the agreements we are signing for the exploitation of these minerals, including lithium and bauxite.
Ochihini Osajefo Amotia Ofori-Penyin, who was the guest of honor, charged government to ensure the country's resources are used for the benefits of citizens, most of whom are living in abject poverty.
We are doing this thing to improve future generations. Three things. We need to own our resources. Everything we're talking about is if we don't own our resources, we will never be able to achieve what we want to achieve.
The struggles faced by commuters along the Dambai route reached a breaking point as this long-distance vehicle toppled into the Oti River. The persistent issues with the ferry and its landing sites continue to be a nightmare for residents and those traversing the Dambai route to other parts of Ghana. Peter Kwao Adato witnessed these challenges firsthand and brings us this report.
This scene has become all too familiar for those relying on the Dambai ferry to access the northern parts of Ghana. This particular incident occurred just one day after the Senti ferry malfunctioned at Nswano, leading to the tragic death of a dedicated Volta River Authority staff diver named Kofi on Friday, August 2. Despite resuming operations on Sunday, August 4, the ferry continues to function under severe strain, raising concerns about safety and reliability.
We'll be here since in the afternoon. If the pantu was to be 2 or more, I'm sure everything will be moving fast. But since it's one and that one got spotter, a lot of people are here. We are suffering. Yeah, we are suffering. Some of us, we have never eaten.
We just have to wait for any alternative that comes up. But they have to put a bridge here. That's very important. It's the same as the Pantu. The Pantu is bringing up revenue to the government. The bridge can also do something like that.
Almost promise it, and so still, baby, and one yejina. Yes, so said the ombe promise no omuntu one among na intimate more mine because Udruha, Ushani Peguha, any idea which they be.
On Wednesday, August 7, the Senti ferry faced another setback during takeoff at the Nswano landing site around 5 p.m. It took nearly 30 minutes for it to be released from the riverbed to sail to Dambai with plans to return for the last trip of the day. However, the ferry malfunctioned once more, leaving numerous vehicles and passengers stranded at both ends of the Oti River. This forced many commuters, including this reporter, to rely on overloaded boats to cross between Dambai and Nswano. Residents expressed their frustration with the district assembly, the government, and other stakeholders for failing to address the ongoing challenges posed by the ferry system comprehensively.
Landing place, yes, Kamim Kwa and Capantuno, any new Hase, Baku over bank Hase, Nabaku other side. Into Webano, no way, into Pantuno, and yes, strong crana because of pressure not end us.
In response to the growing outcry, the municipal chief executive for Karachi East, Charles Jemfi Boateng, told Peter Kwao Adato that 2 options are being considered as permanent solutions to the crisis.
It's 2 things they are thinking about. Some are saying we should put bridge on it. Some are saying we should bring a new ferry. So that conversation is working. So at the end of the conclusion, we will know what to go about it. But government is seriously on this ferry because of the report that is coming from.
Charles Jemfi Boatin had this to say regarding the London site saga.
And then some of the contractors, when the contract is being awarded, they are also waiting for the government to give them some mobilization before they will come. And then they have done something better, and I hope they will come and continue what they have done. The contractor did a lot, and we need to encourage him to get his money from the government so that he can come and complete the work for us.
As it stands, commuters would have to brace for more of these challenges as the government takes its time to consider the options available. Peter Kwadatos reports for GHOne News.
And that's all the business news we've got for you this evening. Do stay with us. We bring you more shortly.
Master, hold it.
GHOne TV, and Benjamin Yamwa, we call him Ben Garci, joins us with the latest from the world of sports. Ben, over to you.
Thank you very much. And of course, with review what happened to the relay team of Ghana at the championship ongoing currently in Paris, where they were disqualified. What really happened? All that and many more coming up in sports after this. So Ghana's relay team, as we all know, missed out a competition in the final of the ongoing 4x1 meter relay after getting disqualified. That's by completing the race with a 6th place finish with a time of 38.62 seconds. The nation, that's Ghana, got disqualified on the grounds of lane infraction that stemmed from a problematic baton change. Now, this marks another disappointing events come months after a similar mistake and Ghana's second place spot at African Games held in Ghana somewhere in February. There was a similar problem as well at the pen relays where the team dropped the baton during an exchange on the one of the events. Eventually, though, they got it right and managed to qualify for the next event. As a of the Ghana athletics team currently in Paris is the media attaché from the GOC to the team, Benjamin Willie Graham, who is joining us via Zoom. Graham, thanks for your time with us. Now talk to us. It's been some hours after the disappointing the squad. How come they made those mistakes and got disqualified in the race this afternoon?
Well, I think I have to be honest with you. This is one of the competitions where the athletes have worked hard for it. They ever since they got to France, they have been working assiduously to ensure that they don't get it wrong. Now, this is something you can't say much about it because it's about execution. You can get everything right at practice, but on the day of execution, you can get it wrong. And for me, that is where the conversation is. I had the chat with Professor Andrew Owusu. And again, you look at the whole dynamics and you're asking questions, how did it get there? Because from Strasbourg on the 10th or 12th of July, that has been the conversation, trying to get the passing right, trying to ensure that these athletes don't anticipate too much and get it wrong. But unfortunately, like I said, the final execution wasn't as perfect as they had thought or they had wished for.
And was it a case of they being tensed? Or what really happened to them? You're talking to the athletes. What really happened to them then?
I mean, if you take a look at the start, I mean, from Saminu's point of view to Azamati, it's supposed to be near perfect. And then, of course, from Azamati to Fuseni, again, it was supposed to be near perfect. And then from Fuseni down to Jopo was where the lane infraction happened. But beyond that, like I said, it is just a matter of execution. And I watched the baton or the relay from the point of view from the women, and I noticed that today was really the day the majority of countries, a lot of countries had it wrong or were struggling to get it right. Even USA, both men and women, had to use experience to qualify through. And so, unfortunately, I'm not holding brief or I'm not having excuses because even the athletes themselves have admitted that this was the worst performance and that they're not holding excuses for anybody or themselves. So it tells you that they knew or they were hoping to get it right at the execution. Unfortunately, it was not the sort of execution we were looking for. And like I said, they have themselves accepted the blame. They have admitted it was not the best as they wished. And what we can do is just wish for the best and hope that we get it right next time.
So next time here means what? What next really for the team?
I mean, the thing is, this is the Olympic Games. You come and meet, you come and compete. You compete well, you win. If you don't compete well, you don't get anything. And like I said, it's an individual race. There are some details you need to get it right. Very important. Get the basic details right, and you win a medal. Like you're coming to Olympic Games, and if you're the African champion, you're meeting the European champion, you're meeting the American champion, you're meeting the Asian champion, you're meeting the Arab champion, you're meeting everybody. So that is the essence of Olympic Games. You need to come and compete and be the best. If you're not the best, that means that somebody was better than you. I'm saying today, we didn't get the execution right. Jamaica didn't get it right. Ghana didn't get it right. Belgium didn't get it right. A lot of countries didn't get it right. And so we are out of it. And so just looking at the mistakes we made, it may take us a long while, we may think, but we need to get it right at some point. And I'm believing that these athletes themselves who are down today, they shut themselves out. They're not talking. They're not, eating. They're just down because they know this is one of their best shots. And like I said, unfortunately, it's the situation it is here in Paris. But we pick the pieces up. We pick the positives and we look at the future. That is what it is most important.
Thank you very much, Benjamin Willie Graham. Because of time, we'll leave it here. And so Ghana out of medal at all. Some news now. Morocco have won the bronze medal in football, defeating Egypt by 6-0. Some more updates now. Botswana's Leslie Tebego has also won the 200 meters gold medal, defeating the Americans. Bednarek coming in second, and then Noah Lyles picked the bronze medal, third finish for him. Some breaking news now. Former CAF president Issa Hayatou, we are picking up signals and news that he has passed on. So that's some breaking news that's coming in, that Issa Hayatou, ex-CAF president, has passed on. That should be it really for us on the Sporting Belt today. Back to you, Natalie.
Ben, thank you so much for the sports update there on News Tonight. Now, as we wrap up the bulletin, This evening, some news just coming through. We've had a response from Mahama's aide concerning the Office of the Special Prosecutor's exoneration of former President John Dramani Mahama in the Airbus scandal, and a few sections of this statement that is signed by Joyce Bawa Mokhtari reads that the Office of John Dramani Mahama wishes to express satisfaction with the OSP ruling, which exonerates the former president from allegations in the Airbus scandal. It also cites that President Mahama has always made himself available for any investigation. He has consistently stated that he had nothing to hide and been ready to cooperate fully and with any of this inquiry. It concludes by saying Mahama remains committed to Ghana's progress and the fight against corruption in all its forms. He will continue to advocate for a better Ghana for all. Well, that's coming through from that's the special aide to John Dramani Mahama, Joyce Bawa Mokhtari, concerning the OSP's exoneration of the former president in the Airbus scandal. Much more on this and lots more stories available on our website, starfm.com.gh. Thank you so much for watching. The bulletin was led by Musa Lanza. I'm Natalie Fort. Have a wonderful evening.